Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. This is Lori Smith on Blog Talk Radio, and I am excited to be here. This is one child abuse survivor to another, and this is blogtalkradio.com, an internet. This is a live streaming internet radio show, and I do have a guest call-in number, and that is 917-889-3736, January 19th, 2010, 5:30 in the morning, Calgary, Alberta time. And I'm just so happy to be able to share some information with you this morning that I found on the net, and we're talking this week about child sexual abuse, and we're just going to continue on and go as far as we can with it. It is so important to be educated on the signs and what to look for, and to watch out for these children in your world, that just to make sure that they are not suffering child sexual abuse. And there's so many things that you can be aware of and stuff, and there's great resources out there. So you can look this up on the net. I was reading yesterday from some information I pulled off of Little Warriors out of Edmonton, Alberta, up here in Canada, and it's a great resource. I really thought the information was good. Some of the statistics were a little bit outdated, but just the information itself was really, really good. So I thought we'd just continue on with that. You can find this article, this information at www.littlewarriors.ca, and they've listed out prevention and 7 steps that really help to prevent child sexual abuse, and I just wanted to read through those. Yesterday we covered step 1, which was learn the facts, and step 2, minimize opportunity. We also, and then there's step 3, and step 3 is what I wanted to look at today, and that's called talk about it. And we're just going to go right into that. And if you wanted to phone in and you have a question, or let's just say that you have something topic related, like a resource or reference for a website, please do phone in. I welcome people to call in. And if I don't see you on the switchboard, just wait for a minute, because I do try to glance over and check my switchboard every now and then. And you can also feel free to sit in the chat room and hang out. And if you have questions, be sure and leave them there for me. And it's a 15-minute show, so I don't have a whole lot of time to go back and forth between the material that I'm presenting. So just hang in the chat room if you'd like to talk to me, because I do go in the chat room afterwards, and if I see you there and you have a question, be sure and ask, because if I can help you find the information, that's really what I'm here to do. I figured, if that's all I can do is just be a source of information for people right now, then that's the best thing I can do. And so that's why I'm doing this show. It's just so important that we all become educated on the issues surrounding child abuse, and really all human rights abuses. I study human rights at Mount Royal University, and not human rights so much, but it is incorporated in the international community development. And human rights to me just mean everything, and child rights especially, because children really cannot stand up for themselves, and so we do have to take that responsibility on ourselves, right? And I'm not even a parent, but I care so much for people, and I care for children, and it's just so important that we do get involved where we can. So I'm just going to start right out reading from this Little Warriors, and step 3. So we're going to get right into that. This is just such good information here. Step 3, talk about it. It says, and I'm not a counselor or can't give any legal advice or anything like that. I'm just a concerned citizen, but I'm reading right from the page. And if you went on to the website, you could pull it up and you'd see that I'm actually just reading word for word. And every now and then I throw my comments in there, just because I grew up in an abusive home, and I do have a sort of one other side of or a little bit more of information I can add to some of the stuff that they're talking about, right? Just as a survivor of child abuse and child sexual abuse. So I just like to once in a while throw something in that I think is can help people to understand why it's so important to get help for children, right? Step 3, talk about it. Children often keep abuse a secret, but barriers can be broken down by talking openly about it. And then they said here in quotes, unquote, my daughter tells me everything. I know she would tell me if someone molested her. This is what somebody might say. I understand why children are afraid to tell. The abuser shames the child, points out that the child let it happen, or tells the child that his or her parents will be angry. The abuser is often manipulative and may try to confuse the child about what is right and wrong, right, because they're using manipulation, right? The abuser sometimes threatens the child or a family member, and that could cause a child to not want to tell someone if they're being abused sexually or in any way really. And so threats, manipulation, shame, and guilt, right? These are all things that might cause a child to not tell someone in their world that they're being abused, right? Some children who do not initially disclose abuse are ashamed to tell when it happens again. So when the abuse first happens, if it happens again, they're so ashamed that they can't. If it happens again, then they can't. They feel so much shame they can't tell you. So it's just horrible, right? Children are afraid of disappointing their parents and disrupting the family. That's if they love their family, and so they don't want to disappoint their parents or disrupt the family and cause problems within the family if they tell. And this is things that would go on in children's minds, right? Some children are too young to understand. That's the sad reality, is that little children, babies, are being sexually abused, and all the way up, it just goes on and on and on, up into adulthood, where adults are being sexually abused. So it's just a real problem. And some children, it says, are too young to understand, so they wouldn't be able to tell you at that point, right? So you have to look for the signs if you're a parent. You're the one that has to search this out and look for the signs. Make sure you do know who your child is with. Make sure you know what is going on throughout the day and the night with your child. It is so vital. We can stop some of these statistics, if and some of them probably not. But if we can get some of these children saved and onto a good life, then that's just what we have to do. To make sure, if you're a parent, to look for these signs, these warning signs for sexual abuse, child sexual abuse. It is so vitally important. And it says many abusers tell children the abuse is okay or a game, right? They'll say, "Oh no, this is our game," and they'll manipulate the child, and the child doesn't know any different. And if especially when they're really young, they're not going to know the difference, and that's the sad reality of it. And it's a real sickness and a plague upon society. It's going on not only in North America, it goes on all around the world. And thank God, in North America and other parts of the world that are more proactive on abuse, we have places that we can go. We have information. We have, even though there's flaws within the justice system, we still have the justice system. That is why, that's really why I get involved and am seriously involved in human rights, because there's so many places around the world where they don't have a justice system. So people are allowed to do whatever they want to their family members in certain countries. They can kill their wives, they can kill their children, they can do whatever they want and just toss them out and bury them in the backyard, sort of thing. But here in North America, we have rights, and we need to make sure that we stand up for our rights. And we have to stand up for the rights of people who do not have a voice and who do not have the ability to do it, right? And that's children, people who are physically challenged or mentally challenged and have issues surrounding that. And then there's people who, like, elderly abuse going on. We really have to stand up for people who can't stand up for themselves. And those that can stand up for themselves need to stand up for themselves. It's so important. We do have rights, and that's what this whole North America is all about. And so I'm happy to be able to stand up and say, yeah, we do have to stand up for our rights and other people's rights too if they can't do it. And sometimes I know what it's like. People are just so beaten down that they can't stand up for their rights, and so we have to stand up for them, right? It's so important. It says here, know how children communicate. Children who disclose sexual abuse often tell a trusted adult other than a parent. For this reason, training for people who work with children is especially important, right? They might tell their teacher, or they might tell a school counselor, or they might tell the school nurse or something, right? So people who work with children need to be especially aware of these things and learn how to handle the situation when the child it comes and tells you that they're being sexually abused, or abuse of any kind, right? Children may tell parts of what happened or pretend it happened to someone else to gauge adult reaction. So that's why it's so important to know how to react and what to say to these children, right? I did last night. That's what the Blog Talk Radio show was about, was how to help a child if they come to you and they tell you they've been abused. And because there's so much you really have to know so that you don't scare them off, or they clam up, or then they don't want to talk. And really, you have to make the proper phone call. And the only really proper and right thing to do is to phone the proper people to get them involved, the police or whatever. You have to make a phone call, because you could save that child's life. Children are dying every day at the hands of their parents and caregivers and child abductions. And these, it's sad enough when children die of natural causes such as disease, or they just had a hard start in life and they, as babies, and they just die because they just, they get sick or whatever. And that's hard enough, right? But when people are killing children, wrong. And, we do need to stand up and stop this, right? This is not right. And if the more people standing up and getting involved, the better. And even if you don't have children, I don't have children, but it doesn't matter, because I know there's children out there right now who are being sexually abused, physically abused, emotionally abused, psychologically abused in every way, and being murdered. So we do have a responsibility to the children in the world today and tomorrow and the next day. So I just ask you to join me and, do whatever you can in your community. I know it's hard because we all have limited resources and limited time, right? But even the smallest thing makes a difference. If we all did one thing, it does add up. So that's all I'm saying. It's just to be aware that it's going on. And, if you're a survivor, And so, it's so important. And just to talk about it with people. I know I do. I talk about it with everybody just because I want people to start realizing that we can solve this, and it is going to take our voices. Silence is not helping the issue. So I think it's so good to just talk about it. We have about 3 minutes left on the show. I think tomorrow there's a section here right with this called Talk Openly with Your Child, and it says good communication may decrease a child's vulnerability to sexual abuse and increase the likelihood that the child will tell you if abuse has occurred. And they also have a piece here called Talk to other adults about child sexual abuse. There's some great info here, and then we'll cover step 4 tomorrow. And that is stay alert. And it says don't expect obvious signs when a child is being sexually abused. Signs are often there, but you've got to spot them. So you can go find this information today if you have some spare time and you're just not busy. You can just go to www.littlewarriors.ca and you can check this out. It's good stuff. And then there's other resources I have. I'm a volunteer for Dream Catchers for Abused Children, and their website is so informative, and you can go on there. When I first went on there, I was just amazed at the amount of information that is there. And you can get that information by just typing into your browser http://dreamcatchersforabusedchildren.com. And you do want to check their website out. They have all kinds of information there. You can look under the tabs, and they talk about what they do in prevention education, child sexual abuse prevention, child protection law, anger management for parents, child abuse signs and symptoms. They're just so proactive in the whole prevention and awareness and the cessation and complete stopping of child abuse. I really highly recommend their website, and I just love the work that they're doing, and I'm really actually very happy to stand with them and do anything I can to help them, because it's my cause too, right? It's all of our cause. We love the children. We have to look out for them. It's so important. There's www.healthyplace.com. It's a resource central for support and hotlines for abuse, anxiety, dissociative disorders, self-help, self-injury, and all that. And I have a friend, Linda Lee. She has her website, artbylindalee.com, and she is a survivor herself. She's a good friend of mine. She has Ning groups that are started up to support survivors and to stop child abuse. And you can find that at http://lindalee.ning.com. Go check that out if you're a survivor of child abuse. I'm a member, and I'm happy to stand with her and to support her any way I can. She's really doing an awesome job. And make sure you reach out and get some help. And I'll be back on tomorrow morning, 5:30. And take care, and my thoughts are with you. And if you're struggling, get a hold of me. And if you need information on any of my resources or anything like that, or I can help you find some information, please let me know. And you can email me or get a hold of me on blogtalkradio.com. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you so much for listening and tuning in. I appreciate the support.